If you have trouble saying no and it's affecting your ability to deal with difficult personalities, stick for this video. Hi, my name is Alex Golovko. I used to be a people pleaser and had trouble to develop balanced pattern of relationships with people. I am also a yoga, philosophy, and movement teacher. In this video, I will explain to you how to deal with difficult personalities, particularly if you have people-pleasing tendencies. If you're here, you have been putting your worth in the amount of how much you are showing up for others and spreading yourself thin, losing yourself in the process. These patterns are built in our childhood when you used to be compared to others by your parents or in school or in other environments. You have an inbuilt self-doubt in you. You want to try to fit to be like everybody else, but as a result, you're less and less like you. If you do not address this, one of the most frequent results is that you will attract difficult personalities. These can be narcissists, bullies, or just generally people with a very strong presence and a lot of strong energy. They're usually quite self-centered, and as a result, they're quite difficult to say no to. And if you do not resolve this, you could inadvertently let those people steer your life without you being the real captain of it. Alright, so let's look into why exactly do you attract these kind of people. Being a people pleaser means you're generally very attuned to your environment, and you tend to have some of the following characteristics. Number one, you usually listen quite a lot to your surroundings. Basically, you want to share every decision you're about to make with a friend, with an acquaintance, or a parent. As a result, you listen to all the inputs from the outside before taking a decision. These decisions are usually not really yours anymore. You tend to forget your needs to serve others. This could be through agreeing to offer service, responding positively to all invitations even if you don't feel like it, or become the listener of problems, or even the validator of problems. You feel guilt when you don't respond present, and you might feel like you want to change people, make them grow. You feel like you're the only one that can do that. And finally, you're quite empathetic, which means you feel quite a lot what others are feeling. So these traits that I just described are like a springboard to controlling personalities. They're feeling straight away attracted by them. They feel the lack of boundaries. For example, you meet a person in a party or a grouping context, and this person seems very outgoing. They have a strong presence. They're quite loud and seem quite unapologetic. Note that this should not be confused for confidence. Real confidence doesn't really seek external validation, whereas these kinds of people really do. They're constantly alert about being the center of attention, while a secure person will see this and will kind of stay in the back because they will feel that there is a craving of attention there. Whereas a people pleaser, not really knowing what real confidence looks like, will be fascinated by that person. They will feel like they project confidence and they find them charismatic. So they will tend to stick around and listen to that person. And that person will quickly notice that and will single out the people pleaser and will grab them and take them with them. This is just a simple illustration of how such a bond is created. Basically, the people pleaser filters themselves out from all the other people, showing that they're available and they're interested to stick around with the self-centered person. So how to spot these difficult personalities? And what exactly are the difficult personalities I'm talking about? There are quite a few degrees of it, but their main trait is being very strongly self-centered. They can be narcissists without no empathy whatsoever, and they're seeing people as basically tools to reach their goals and to fulfill their needs. Or they can be just very, very self-centered, still having some sort of empathy, but really attuned to pushing people's boundaries to get what they want. So these people are really to be strongly aware of, and they need to be shown consistent boundaries to avoid them starting to steer your life. A very important note here, however, before we go in more detail, these are usually people with a lot of personal difficulties. They have a lot of issues to resolve. However, it is super important that you understand that this path that they need to go to is not your responsibility. As long as they don't recognize that they have an issue, they will not work towards improving themselves. And helping them will have no effect whatsoever. It is a waste of your time and energy. So how to spot these kinds of personalities? And I want to give you here a few traits which they share, sometimes several of them, or it could even be all of them. They're charming, they're the life of the party, they're quite entertaining, they're loud, they're knowledgeable, they could be aware of many different topics, they're noticeable, they take space. They have a sense of humor that often revolves around subtly mocking other people. They tend to be judgmental, they comment on the appearance, they can wrap a negative comment inside of a positive comment. They love to gossip or publicly bringing down other people that are not there. They talk about themselves quite frequently and at length. It could be successes, it could be problems, it could be issues with other people that are not there during that moment. They usually seek validation about their opinions on people, so they're kind of ganging up against a certain person. They tend to wrap disrespect in honesty. They get triggered easily, and they get upset easily, especially if things are not done the way they want. They manipulate and bend reality, and that's an important one. They're a very good judge of character and tend to spot weaknesses of people and tend to then use them against them. And finally, they love to love bomb or overcompliment, and this usually works pretty well with the people pleaser that has self-esteem issues. So now, how to deal with them? And this depends on your relationship that you entertain with these people. So the first thing to remember when dealing with these kind of people is that to improve your relationship to everybody, including to heal your relationship with these people, the most important thing is to work starting from yourself. Work on you, on your personal growth, and not in order to improve the relationships with these people, but really to improve your own self-esteem and grow and improve your mental health and even your physical health. It's super important to understand that this growth process is not for your relationship with them, it is for you. And doing this will resolve all the problematic relationship you have with everybody. You can see these kinds of people as a practice ground to develop your boundaries and to strengthen your sense of self. But let's look at how to approach this depending on how long your relationship has been with them. Let's start with the long-term relationships. So these are your family members, close ones usually, your partners, your husbands. If these are really close family members, chances are that their behavior has had a big impact and influence on you being a people pleaser today. Chances are that there is past trauma or past experiences that you experienced with them that made you a people pleaser today. These types of bonds are very charged emotionally. They can be long-lasting toxic relationships. They're very difficult to completely resolve. This will take a lot of strength and courage to work on this. But these are the most important things to think about. As mentioned before, the first step is to start from yourself. So working on yourself and create space and time to reconnect with who you are. This is important. And this is important to also extract yourself from the relationship to allow yourself to have this time to reconnect. Another thing is you can use other relationships with other people that are more safe people to you to start implementing boundaries with them. This is kind of like a practice ground on an easier situation where you start boundaries from people where you are not afraid of their reaction, or at least less afraid of their reaction. And lastly, very important, is to rearrange your understanding of the concept of responsibility. As a people pleaser, we often have a misrepresentation of what is our responsibility and what is others' responsibility. I talk about this in length in my free masterclass. The link is in the description of this video. So in some cases, these relationships might have grown very toxic over the years and have become very ingrained. This person will inevitably notice the change in you or the shift in energy. Especially if you start distancing yourself and pouring more energy back into you rather than into them. They will put up a fight. And usually what they will do is they will shame you for being selfish. That is their go-to move. What this really means is you're not pouring your life energy into me as you should be doing, human slave. This is just mildly exaggerated. So you need to be psychologically prepared for this to happen. This will happen for sure, especially if that person is towards a narcissistic behavior. You can prepare yourself by building your own strength, but also surround yourself with supports of people that you know are on your side and that are safe. Friends, support groups, a supportive parent, anywhere you can find that. But remember that the most important support you need to build is within you. It's really important to remember here that consistency is key. You need to be very consistent with how you approach these people. Imagine this like the legal system. Any rule and regulation requires enforcement for the rule to be respected, and some people do need that enforcement. This means you need to follow up with action on any disrespect of your boundary or of your rule. And whether this means to distance yourself temporarily or cutting ties off completely. Don't get me wrong, this is a very difficult work and it takes time. But the most difficult part of this work is to fight your own guilt. The very important part, as I mentioned before, is to understand the concept of responsibility and go away from what you've learned your responsibility was back in childhood. Understand that secure people have another concept of responsibility, and that doesn't make them mean or selfish. It makes them secure individuals that draw boundaries where it's needed to ensure self-respect. Let's look at new acquaintances or people that just arrived into your life by chance. So this could be a new boyfriend that you just met or a person you encountered at a party. So now you can spot these people easier with the signs I described to you before. So be attentive for these signs. Really look up for them. As a people pleaser, you will tend to naturally get drawn to these people because of the security they seem to emanate. Or they will remind you of a parent or another person that is the real reason of your trauma and your people pleasing. So check really, is this person really exalting confidence, or are they trying to impress people? Are they craving for attention? Real confidence doesn't seek all eyes on me kind of vibe. Do they talk about themselves a lot? Do they share super intimate, weird details about their lives really fast? Do they have crazy stories to share to entertain you? Or do you have trouble leaving the conversation? These are all signs to back off. Protect your energy. They're sensing a void in your self-awareness and they're pouring their energy into you. So how to behave if this happens? First of all, slow down the conversation. Tell them that you came there at the party to meet some people and you'll get back to them later if you want to. Do not listen to them too intently. So distance yourself from the conversation just a bit. You can show signs of distraction, looking around. These are okay. And if you really feel that this is dragging for too long, actually tell them that you have somebody to see afterwards. Then if they invite you to meet them tomorrow or meet them straight away after for something, refuse a few of these offers. Show them that you're not involved already. They might guilt trip you again here, but understand that this is their tactic. Do not take that personal. These kinds of behaviors will already reduce their interest in you because they will feel that you're not so involved and you're less weak than they thought you were. Because yes, that's what they look for. So just to note, these behaviors that they have is not always conscious behaviors. Sometimes it's actually subconscious. They kind of subconsciously feel you giving a lot of energy to them, and they will take that until you tell them to stop. So these kind of short-lived encounters are an excellent practice ground for you to build boundaries. And also, especially if you have another person in your life that's a closer relationship that exhibits this kind of characteristics, these are a practice ground to then strengthen your muscles of saying no to more important relationships. I hope you found these insightful, and also note that the more you build your strength and boundaries and the ability of saying no, the more you will attract a secure kind of people. So it's actually a win-win situation. So I hope you found this video insightful and see how being a people pleaser actually makes you attract these kind of difficult personalities or self-centered personalities. If you want to reverse this kind of trend and you want to learn more about the concept of responsibility, I have this free masterclass called the Confidence Blueprint that's linked in the description of this video. I explain there in length what responsibility is, how it's fundamental for your relationships and to build secure relationships with people. And also I explain how to set boundaries with people, even if that's something you're not comfortable with. Just sign up by clicking on the link in the description, and I'll see you there. Thank you for watching this video, and see you in the next one.